I quickly realized that in order to get what I wanted, I had to reach up to your level, not look for other people to validate my bullshit thinking. Does that make sense?
Look, I think it's important for people to hear from you
Yep.
because you got a really good outlook from starting from the bottom. Now you're here, and
Yep.
of course, people know that you work with us, you help us on sales. You run sales teams for us,
Yep.
and you're. I think I haven't looked at the stats right now, but if I had to guess, you're the number one closer as of right now in our whole organization. So you got a few things to say that people should listen to. So give me like 3 minutes. And while you're doing this, I'm going to close this door. While you're starting to talk, I'm going to close this door. But give us like a couple minutes of if you had to start from the beginning and start over from what you've learned in this group from a lead generation, because I know you got a thriving lead generation business too.
Yep.
What advice would you give and why?
Yeah, I think it's really critical. And I've talked to a lot of you guys on your way in here. And I think it's really critical just to surround yourself with the right people. I remember when I started this endeavor way back when I'd never been an entrepreneur before. I'd spent my entire adult life in the corporate world, doing the typical stuff, grinding away at it. And I think a lot of people struggle with, they come in here hot and heavy. They have a lot of big dreams. They have a lot of, we've all seen it. Like it's like the honeymoon phase, right? They come in here hot and heavy, and then the first obstacle comes along and it's suddenly the brakes hit. And so I think a lot of people, and if you look at this pandemic, here's the thing, and read off the rails here for a second, because I've had a couple of drinks, but let me riff for a second. So I've noticed something interesting with this pandemic, and I'm a firm believer that any crisis that appears in someone's life, whether it's a pandemic or anything, it merely amplifies who they already are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
In other words, if you're an excuse maker, well, who can argue with the excuse of, oh my God, a world pandemic's hit, right? Who's going to come back? What's the counter argument? Because it's the excuse maker's dream. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so if I look back on my career in lead gen, because I go back to the beginning with you, it's the progression, because I had a limited belief set as well. I came in here thinking, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how I can do with it. Maybe Dan's full of shit. Maybe this works. Maybe this doesn't. And I treaded water for a while, right? And it's because of that belief set. And then I kept being more and more exposed to you. This is what I tell people all the time. You saw my post in the group today. I made it a religious ritual almost to be on your calls every Tuesday and Thursday. And quickly I caught the drift. Like, here's this guy who has everything I fucking want, everything I want. And he shows up every goddamn week, twice a week. He could coast, he could sit on his ass, he could fly off to Hawaii and just sit for the next, but you showed up. And I'm like, wait a minute. So here's this guy who wants everything I want, or has everything I want, and he's all in. Does that make sense? And so what I'm trying to get at is I quickly realized that in order to get what I wanted, I had to reach up to your level, not look for other people to validate my bullshit thinking. Does that make sense?